As the capital city here in Salt Lake, it is so important for us to not only recognize the First Nations peoples and the meaningful role that they play today within our everyday urban fabric, but also to lead out in a true partnership with them, which is not something that has historically happened in this city. The contributions of the Ute, Paiute, Goshute, Dene, and Shoshone are immeasurable, and we strive as a city to move forward in consultation and in true collaboration. So on this day of recognition, we also want to acknowledge the Arapaho, Oglala Sioux, Cheyenne River Sioux, Wind River Shoshone, Cherokee, and Rosebud Sioux tribes from neighboring states. Over the last 2 years, this administration has connected with formal tribal government leadership, trying to engage as allies. This really had to begin as a relationship that was intended and has wonderfully been rooted in trust and a true desire to build relationship, not just come together for a press conference. The relationship of understanding is important to me in a way that really surpasses politics or government, but that brings us together with an intention of learning from each other, of healing, and of building. We had the chance just last year to spend 2 days with Ute and Mountain Ute leaders and their council. And we toured the city, we went up City Creek, we heard stories about the land that I had never heard before. We picked berries that were ripening and shared stories again as we ate the berries and stood in the creek together. I heard stories that I won't forget and that have helped me shape the way I see this city and who was here long before people with my color skin. It's been a gift to witness some traditions firsthand and to be invited to participate in some. And I have felt the passion and the love with which those traditions have been handed down for generations. I'm grateful to my friend, Councilmember Chris Tibby, for really inviting me into his family and community and sharing some of those traditions with me. So from community-based organizations, as we have representation from here today, to just day-to-day communication, it's been my priority, and it's a priority of my administration, to seek out opportunities that help us and let us build with Indigenous and Native American residents and beyond. And even though we're still really new in this work of building relationship, and we are on a path of healing and sharing power, and I'm excited to continue to move forward in this way. And I take pride in the fact that we can share and collaborate in events like this today with you as our partners. This gives us an opportunity to recognize our diversity that is here every day within our city and deepen our understanding of how we could serve better as public servants, serving our Indigenous and Native American residents in this city in ways that are best tailored to you. I want to thank the Native American Resource Center for doing the heavy lifting with our community outreach and diversity, equity, and inclusion teams organizing today's festivities. And thank you to the Urban Indian Center and the State Office of Indian Affairs for gracing us with your presence today. I look forward to spending the morning together, and I want to give you a little run of show. You'll next hear from Salt Lake City Council member Chris Wharton, followed by Samantha Eldridge, the director of AIRC. And then we will have my new friend, Erin Glass, and her mom, Chris, will read the resolution from the City Council and myself, followed by Dominique Talaheftwa. I said that wrong, Dominique. You'll fix it when you tell me how to say it right. Who's a cultural liaison with the Utah Department of Indian Affairs, followed by Alan Barlow, the director of the Urban Indian Center, And then we have a special performance, Voice of Honey. Councilmember Wharton, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. I'm Councilmember Chris Wharton. I'm so happy to be here with you today to recognize National Native American Heritage Month in Salt Lake City. District 3, the district that I represent, is home to places like Warm Springs, which the Shoshone and all bands of the Ute tribe used as a sacred space long before the pioneers arrived. It's also home of the Avenue's Twin Peaks, which has Native American ties, which the city is working and researching very carefully to make sure that we respect with our new Foothills Trails system expansions. It's also the home of the city's beloved City Creek and Memory Grove Park, which is named for the memorials of our fallen soldiers. As Salt Lake City recognizes Native American Heritage Month, I often think of the Native American veterans who served, many of whom gave the ultimate sacrifice for a country that didn't show them historically the respect that they deserved. Today, we honor the indigenous peoples who have called this land home before it was Salt Lake City. We also recognize their descendants who are here with us today to celebrate. Our community is grateful for all the tribal nations and your caring stewardship and the way that you proudly share your culture with us. I invite all Salt Lake City residents to reflect on the sacrifices, courage, and determination of Native Americans this month and throughout the year. Thank you.
Yat Eshake Doshne Esh at Samantha Eldridge Yenisha, Mai Dishkini Nishla, Twahaglini Bashichi, Sinsekani Dashache, Otto Huwanflana Dashanella. Good morning, my name is Samantha Eldridge. I am the director of the American Indian Resource Center at the University of Utah. I want to thank Mayor Mendenhall and Councilmember Wharton for recognizing and honoring the indigenous peoples of this land. The pandemic has shown our community coming together during difficult times and times of healing. But it's also important that we celebrate and honor our achievements. Today is a celebration of our indigenous history, culture, language, traditions, and a reminder that we are still here. In the past year, we've seen a rising of indigenous visibility and representation in media, film, and pop culture. This November and every month, we celebrate Indigenous presence and indigeneity. We encourage our community to engage in conversations that center Indigenous voices and create spaces of belonging. We also encourage you to provide spaces for our youth to facilitate their growth and leadership as they are the future of our Indigenous peoples. Thank you for being here.
Whereas Salt Lake City is built on the homelands of Northwestern Shoshone, Paiute, Goshu, Ute tribes, and the respective bands who have called the Salt Lake City Valley and the Wasatch Range home, and have been stewards for the land for thousands of years. And whereas Native Americans resided within Salt Lake City are unique as diverse population representing many tribal nations, has their cultural values, celebrations, and achievements, and whereas Native Americans have contributed to the prosperity of Salt Lake City through treaties, resources, land stewardship, cultural traditions, and commerce, and whereas we honor and celebrate the importance of Indigenous people as distinguished scholars, veterinarians, veterans, teachers, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, leaders, and more, and their immeasurable contributions to our city and to our society. And whereas we strive to improve communications with service to and partnership with all city residents, and as we journey together on a quest for justice, equality represents respect and prosperity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salt Lake City Council and the Mayor of Salt Lake City declare the month as November 2022 as Native American Heritage Month.
Thank you. Oops. Good morning. I'm Dominique Talahaftiwa, and I'm Hopi and Ute from the Water and Corn clans on my Hopi side and the Uncapagre band with the Ute tribe. I wanted to acknowledge that we are on Native land. Salt Lake City is the ancestral Aboriginal homelands of the Goshute, Shoshone, and Ute, and they've been protective stewards of the land since time immemorial. On behalf of the Utah Division of Indian Affairs, our office is grateful for this opportunity, and thank you for the city's acknowledgement of November as Native American Heritage Month. Our office's staff are dedicated to acting as a liaison on a government-to-government basis between the state of Utah and the 8 sovereign nations of Utah. They're the Confederated Tribes of Goshute, Navajo Nation, Northwestern Band of Shoshone Nation, Paiute Indian Tribe of Utah, San Juan Southern Paiute Tribe, Skull Valley Band of Goshute, Ute Indian Tribe of the Uinta and Ore Reservation, and the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, White Mesa Community. Additionally, the Paiute Indian Tribe is comprised of 5 constituent bands: Cedar, Indian Peaks, Kanash, Kusharam, and Shivwits, and the Ute Tribe is comprised of 3 bands: Uinta, Uncapagre, and White River. The tribes of Utah and throughout the U.S., Canada, and Mexico have a rich history, each unique, and we're still here and still thrive. The tribes are sovereigns, and each has their own government and communities to care for, with unique concerns and challenges as well. The Native community also has unique challenges, and there are leaders within the community who strive to bring many issues to light. Thank you to those who work so hard with dedication every day to do so. For instance, this acknowledgement, and also the Murdered and Missing Indigenous Relatives Task Force, led by Representative Romero and Yolanda Nez and Moroni Benally, and others. There are many of us who reside outside of tribal lands, and we're a diverse urban Indian community. We have our values and traditions and hold our culture close. We also have varying opportunities and challenges that are faced. There are different organizations within the community that offer health care, such as Sacred Circle Healthcare and the Urban Indian Center of Salt Lake, as well as educational and culturally specific opportunities. With a focus on National Native American Heritage Month, this is a prime opportunity to learn more about the cultures, traditions, histories, current successes and challenges we face. Tribal nations and their citizens, the indigenous people of this great state, have much to offer. Being educated about each other and our backgrounds is the beginning of accepting each other, understanding each other and our differences. Learning to work with people with different backgrounds benefits us all. It allows us to interact in a wider range of social groups and feel more confident in ourselves as well as in our interactions with others. Learning from each other is always the best way to move forward in a positive way. Thank you to Mayor Mendenhall and Salt Lake City for your efforts and acknowledgement.
Good morning, Yat. Shea Alan Barling, Shea, Sinjakini Nishlo, Todichi, I almost told you my mother's clan, which would have been a bad thing. And my mother has been on my mind recently. Bilagana, Dashishchin, Sinsakadi, Dashiche, do Bilagana, Dashinali. And interestingly enough, my clan has always been something that has been a part of my heritage, and it's always been something that can be a little bit difficult for Native Americans who are not fully Native, which I am not. My clan recognizes that I am from the Cliff Dweller people, and I am also from the non-Navajo people. And I remember a time where there used to be tension about that fact, about the idea that I had to better define my heritage one way or another in order to truly belong with community, in order to truly fulfill things that were expected of me from my family. And for those of you who have ever been around Native American cultures, there was something called the seventh generation. Raise your hands here if you've ever heard of it. Okay, and this was an interesting concept because this was actually one of the times in my history where I found a measure of peace with myself. For a lot of Native American cultures, the seventh generation suggests that your actions today are looking ahead 7 generations in order to prepare now for what may occur. In the Navajo culture, in the way that I was taught, in the way that I learned, I was taught that I am the 7th generation, that the 3 generations before me informed who I am now. And what I do now is going to carry on in the 3 generations after me, and there's this circular cycle that continues on and on. And I learned this by hearing the 7th generation idea while at a national council of the National Congress of American Indians. And there was a moment of tension. There was a moment of, do I even care which one is right? And I've got to say, as we come here and celebrate Native American Heritage Month, one of the proudest things that I can impart and that I've seen and that you will see with our performer is that idea of heritage is not something in the past. It's now. It's here. It's what we're doing. The heritage of our grandchildren is what we're giving them now, in the choices we make, in the communities we decide to be a part of, in the conversations that we have, in the new friends that we adopt in our lives. And just as I say, healthy living doesn't happen at a health clinic. It happens in the community. It happens with the choices you make about food, your friends, your time. Are you sleeping well? Are you exercising? Because by the time you come to the clinic, you're ill and you need help. I think heritage is something that we all share. And there's an interesting notion that I want to leave you with. It's called the opposable mind. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that concept. I believe a Dr. Richard Martin, who was a Harvard-trained teacher, professor, and author, brought up the idea that one of the biggest and distinguishing evolutionary factors that we've ever had was the opposable thumb. And interestingly enough, the reason why is because it lets us, with tension, hold, delicately turn. This can be for beadwork, this can be for fry bread, this can be for weaving. This could also be as we take that concept and think of how we're different. We can even be opposed. But what can set us apart and help us evolve, and sometimes in a revolutionary way, is to use that tension to hold something just for a moment, to see if we can find something better than either side. Opposing ideas could have been on their own. For me, that is probably the most critical element of heritage that I have seen, because we integrate with our Polynesian neighbors, we integrate with different tribes, we integrate with our community, and we do it so seamlessly. And so I'm very, very pleased to have this opportunity with community members and tribal leaders to speak about that idea today, and I hope we perpetuate that in the month and the years to come. Hold that tension for a minute. It doesn't have to be destructive. As a matter of fact, if we use it the right way, it's how we heal. It's how we create. It's how we share. Thank you.
Check, mic check. Yate. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. By the nod of heads, I can see that everybody's having a great day. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to just be standing on the sides of the microphone, only because we did a small sound check earlier, and I wanted to acknowledge that there is a little bit of feedback when I go in front of the mic and in front of the speaker. So today we are going to be using our digital aspect of music, which is great. But I wanted to acknowledge that I'm from the Diné Nation. From the Diné Nation. We call that the Navajo in English. Yat abine shikwasin. She a honey and she Tkatnizani a nishle na hitli a bashish chin ma idish gishni dashiche. Hello everybody, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. My name is Honey. I'm an inspirational advocate. I am an R&B artist. I am a youth advocate. And I am also a community member. I am thankful to be here today with you guys. And I'm thankful to acknowledge that we have come together today to pay recognition to this very special end, but also a beginning. This is the end of a successful year, but it is also a beginning to a brand new year that is going to be fulfilled with lots of education, lots of learning, and lots of understanding. Native American Heritage Month is a time where I feel is the beginning of growth. It's a time when this season comes for harvesting, but it also allows us to replant the seeds of our community, to replant the seeds of education within our youth as well as within ourselves. We can utilize this time together, and we can utilize this moment to learn about our Native American heritage. This is also how you can learn about land acknowledgement. Usually we have an Indigenous leader giving a land acknowledgement speech, but I pray and ask that you go about yourself this coming year and many years to follow, and you learn all you can about this land, about the people, about our relatives, native and non-native. And remember that in order to acknowledge the land, you must first learn about it, have a moment to experience, and have a moment with people that live upon that type of lifestyle. We come together for Native American Heritage Month, and we remind ourselves that not every day is a success. Even though we are proud every day to be Native American or Indigenous, even though we are proud every day, we must remember that there are days when we do struggle. There are days when we do have a hard time. That allows us to be proud to be Indigenous, those moments. And even though we're in 2022, we as Indigenous people, we still experience struggles. We still strive to be recognized by our fellow relatives that are Native as well as non-Native. We still strive to educate our youth about their culture and their traditions. And we still strive to remind our community that we learn different, that we understand different, that we go about learning and educating our community in a different type of way. We as Indigenous people, we do things differently. This month, Native American Heritage Month, is a time where we can come together as Indigenous people and say, hey, you know what, we made it this far. We made it this far, let's go again. We made it to this point in time, to November. Let's go another year. Let's do this again. They say that in Dinebazad, in the Diné language. Again, let's do it again. Let's do it again, but let's do it with a smile. Let's do it again, but let's do it with some pride, with some strength in our heart. Let's do it again, but let's show the kids that it's a little bit easier because they know that they have our support. During this time of Native American Heritage Month, I ask that you take it upon a moment for yourself to understand us as Indigenous people, that you can take that home and you can teach other people about the people that reside upon this land back then as well as today. We will continue forth, and we will continue to strive to remind each and every one of us, Native and non-Native, that we will continue to remain. Once again, my name is Honey. I am an inspirational advocate. I am an R&B artist, a youth advocate. I am also a community member here in our city. I'll be singing you some songs today. And excuse me in advance if I sing a little loud. If I do, I will move the microphone away from my mouth. I will also be dancing for you today. And in that sense, when I'm dancing, I want to remind you that we do have this time in this moment where some of our Indigenous people are experiencing their own successes, whether it be with work, whether it be in their personal life, whether it be coming out to their family, whether it be getting their first A or their first 80%, 90%, whether it be getting along with individuals in your workplace or outside of your workplace. This is the time. And in this way, we are proud to be Indigenous. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be singing you some personal songs, two of which are soulful songs expressing the importance of feeling good, as well as having the prayers available through music for all of our community members. A warm heart that used to be frozen. It feels good to smile once in a while. I was open your eyes to all the beauty in the world. It's not about the money, the diamonds, the drama, or the pearls. Pay attention to the people you meet, the places you go, the things that you do. Good intention should flow. I know I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. Hey, Anna, hey, yo. Hey, Anna, hey, yo, yo. Hey, Anna, hey, yo, yo. Hey, Anna, hey, yo. And something about getting up together and knowing you're not alone. That is what Native American Heritage Month represents for us as Indigenous people. This community that comes with each of us, the support, the love, and knowing that you have somebody with you to fight the battle and to go another round. Again, this is the beginning, but yet also the end. The end of the stressful year, the end of the struggle, but the beginning to happiness and the beginning of the good feelings that will flow through you. From the doorway in to the doorway out, from the east side all the way back around to the east side, I would like to say ahehe. And in my native language, thank you. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for recognizing that we are just important as we were when we first came, that we're still important and we are acknowledged through our community. Again, ahehe. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of that, and thank you for celebrating the beginning of Native American Heritage Month. Thank you.